how influential was social media then? I remember at first, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram fortune, there was a Facebook account which was not actively used. But I knew that it requires some convincing for the social media accounts to be set up. Because you know, Tun is a very traditional, very cool person, but a very traditional person. So I was like, Tun, you must set this up, especially to reach out to young people, and at the same time, to get feedback, and to also ensure that while we are censored in multiple different ways, our message will still be reached to communities which we want it to reach. So then finally, he agreed to set up Twitter and Instagram. I didn't do much, I merely just, he will write things on a piece of paper, and I'll merely tweet it or write the Facebook post for him. The unique part about being with Tun is that he does everything on his own. Even up to today, he still writes regularly on his blog. So I remember at first, as soon as, for example, the Twitter account or Instagram account was launched, it went viral, it was picked up by multiple different news portals, despite being censored by mainstream media again. But from there onward, we noticed that the messaging which we brought forward became a lot more effective in a very short time span. So I knew, to some extent, that we were going to win the election one night before we went to vote. Why? Because about 1 or 2 months before election, we had multiple Facebook Live sessions. Every week on Wednesday, we'll have a policy brief for Dr. Mahathir every Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning. So we'll have a policy talk maybe on economy, on FELSA, on employment opportunities and the rest. And on average, we'll reach about 3,000 to 5,000 live viewers. It's not bad. It's a big amount. But as soon as Parliament was dissolved, then it started going up to 20,000 live viewers. I'm not talking about viewership alone, I'm talking about live viewers watching exactly at that point in time. And during the final night, I remember 1 week before the election day where we voted, proposed, so you must have the final speech. And I believe that this speech must be shared across all social media platforms. Make sure that we unite under this banner. Deliver the speech, prep the speech, write the speech, and deliver it, because that will be the final speech before people go to the ballot box. And a lot of people will be watching it. And it's also unique because there's a unique multiplier effect, because usually during the final night, the children or the young ones would already be back at their hometowns with their parents and grandparents before they vote. So if we can get a lot of young people, the ones who are the idealists, to watch and get their parents and grandparents to also watch with them, then we believe we will be able to break through the wall of disinformation and censorship which existed before. Because we know young people cared about the nation. They were very, the empathy was strong. It's just about mobilizing and using the right avenue to reach out to the slightly older community above 50 years old. So that 1 week we campaigned, we told the public, please tune in during the final night. The young people, please share it with your parents, get your parents to watch, show your iPhone to them, even though the parents might not have iPhone, you do. And during that final night, the message reached out on live Facebook to 260,000 live viewers. Can you imagine, from 3,000 to 5,000 on average, and then reaching 260,000? By then, we saw a shift. And we noticed how influential social media can be, that it can override the billions of dollars spent through Facebook ads, through very lucrative video campaigns, through the monopoly over mainstream media, from RTM to TV3. But a free Facebook Live can reach out to a larger audience than that one. I remember by morning time, 8 a.m., it was already shared and viewed by more than 5 million people across Malaysia. This is to show how influential social media can be in terms of forwarding a cause or to take down a cause. And I believe in that particular world and perspective, whichever side we are on, whatever organizations we are in, whether it's NGO, profit-driven, We must adapt in this highly globalized world to the pervasiveness of social media, but that adaptation should not come at the cost of freedom of speech or expression or the restriction of democratic spaces. Because in the end, the unique part of social media at its core is that it democratizes our voices. It kicks out bureaucracy. It allows the voice of every Malaysian to be heard, regardless of race, religion, and political leanings. It ensures that if our voice is truthful, comes with a conscionable motive, there will be those out there who will receive it and most likely share it with communities and friends around, and that message can lead to a movement, and that movement to a long-lasting tsunami which will lead to institutional reforms which we have never witnessed before. It has happened in Malaysia, it has happened across the world, and I'm very sure that it will happen again. But while it happens again, we must all be conscious of its influence. And Malaysians, whether in the corporate sector or in the political field, must adapt to this. We must communicate with our followers, we must communicate our messages abroad, we must reply to the concerns shared to us on social media, because if we fail, we will go bust. That's it from me. After this, I look forward to the panel session. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hear your questions and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. I'd like to invite you, Muhammad, to kindly remain on stage and to take his seat on the panel. And it looks like he's getting a little bit more